The flood in the Bible is one of the most well-known stories ever told. It's been adapted and retold so many times in modern media that many people think they know the whole story from beginning to end. But what if I told you there were some things about the story that are usually glossed over or not talked about at all? And it's these details that really help us understand the scope and impact of this world-altering event. In today's video, we're going to go through 5 facts about the flood that you may not know, but will change how you view the story forever. Let's get started. Fact number 1. The flood wasn't God's idea. When talking about the flood, many people focus on Noah being chosen by God to build an ark and save himself and his family and pairs of animals to repopulate the earth after the flood. But when you read Genesis 6, it tells a much different story than that. In Genesis 6, it says that the sons of God came to the daughters of men and had children by them, producing the Nephilim, who are described as being giants. Then it says that the earth was corrupt in God's sight and filled with violence. So he was sorry he had made them, which implies that humanity had strayed so far from God that their existence was no longer good. So God decided to wipe out everything he had created. But this was not because he wanted to destroy his creation, but rather because he didn't want to keep them around any longer, because they weren't acting like he wanted them to. This is shown even more in Genesis 7, where God tells Noah that the end of all flesh has come before him, for the earth is filled with violence because of them, so that he must destroy them all. This shows that the flood wasn't God destroying his creation, but him destroying his idea of creation. He had made humanity with the intention of them spreading out across the earth and populating it. But since they had turned away from him and were filling the earth with violence and corruption, he got rid of them. Fact number 2. All life on earth was affected by the flood. Many people focus on the fact that Noah and his family and 2 of every animal were saved on the ark. But what about all the other life on earth? What happened to the billions of birds in the sky, the millions of insects on land, and all the fish in the sea? Did they all get wiped out during the flood? This actually brings up a great discussion point in apologetics, which is called the problem of evil. If God is all-powerful, all-knowing and perfectly good, why would he allow bad things to happen? In this case, why would he flood the earth and kill all the animals and plants, as well as all of the people? The answer to this is usually given by saying that God only allows bad things to happen for a greater good. In the case of the flood, this could mean that while it was bad that so many lives were lost, it was necessary for the earth to be cleared of corruption and violence so that it could be restarted with a new righteous people. However, this doesn't fully answer the question. Why did it have to be this way? Couldn't God have just fixed the problems without wiping everything out? While this is a fair question, it should be noted that according to Genesis, the earth's state of corruption was so bad that it's described as being filled with violence, which implies that every living thing was affected by this violence and corruption. So maybe the answer is that nothing could have been done to stop it. Fact number 3. The flood destroyed the human race. Some people believe that the flood didn't completely wipe out the human race, and that there were survivors outside of Noah's family. In fact, according to extra-biblical sources such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, the story of the flood comes from a time long before Noah and his family built the ark. These accounts tell of a hero who warned his people about an impending flood, but they didn't listen to him, and so they were all wiped out. Only he and his family survived by building a boat and taking 2 of every animal aboard. Now, some people believe that this is exactly what happened during the biblical flood. They believe that there were multiple people outside of Noah's family who also survived the flood, but these people were all wiped out in the second flood, leaving Noah's family as the only humans alive. However, this belief is not supported by the Bible, which explicitly states that Noah was the only righteous person in the world at the time, It also says that all living things were destroyed by the flood, meaning that all humans, not just the wicked ones, died in the flood. This is further proven by the fact that when Noah and his sons went to repopulate the earth, they realized that they couldn't find any other humans anywhere. This proves that the flood wiped out the entire human population. Fact number 4. The flood changed the course of history. The flood is often seen as a single event that happened in the past and has no bearing on our lives today. But this couldn't be further from the truth. The flood is a pivotal moment in history that set the stage for the rest of human history. For example, it led to the formation of the Tower of Babel, which was built by people trying to reach heaven without God. It also led to the scattering of people across the earth, which led to the formation of different cultures and nations. The flood also led to the development of different religions, as well as different ways of life. In addition to this, the flood is a key part of many major religions' foundations. For example, it's a central part of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, as well as other religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. In fact, there are many myths and legends from different cultures that tell similar stories of a great flood that destroyed the world and only a few people survived. This suggests that the story of the flood is a universal story that has been passed down through generations and has become part of our collective memory. This fact alone shows that the flood was a monumental event that changed the course of human history forever. Fact number 5. The flood is a warning for the future. Many people see the flood as a story from the past that's no longer relevant today. But this couldn't be further from the truth. The flood is still a warning for the future that we should all take seriously. For example, it warns us about the dangers of sin and the consequences that come with it. When we turn away from God and do what we want instead of what He wants, we're opening ourselves up to destruction, just like the world before the flood. The flood also warns us about the importance of obedience. When God gave Noah instructions to build an ark, He didn't argue or try to change God's mind. He simply followed His instructions and saved himself and his family. If we want to avoid the destruction that comes with sin, we must be willing to obey God no matter what. Finally, the flood is a reminder that God is just and merciful. While He was just in destroying the world that was filled with sin and corruption, He was also merciful in giving Noah and his family a chance to survive. This shows us that God is both just and merciful, and that He wants us to turn away from our sins and come back to Him. If we want to avoid the destruction that comes with the flood, we must remember this warning and live our lives according to God's will. So there you have it, 5 facts about the flood that you may not have known, but will change how you view the story forever. Do you think there's anything else that should have been included in this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.